Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Courtney.
And Courtney, how are you today?
I'm tired. I got back from Folk Alliance International yesterday, which was amazing. I got home at 2 a.m. this morning. So I am still recovering because as amazing as it is a schedule that runs starting at 10 a.m. or 12 p.m. until 3 a.m. every day. Which is a long day. And it is because I went for work, I'm talking to people the entire time. I literally spent one morning, like I had to get so the MLC is an organization that collects money for songwriters and helps them find royalties from streaming that have in the past not been collected very well. And so they had a booth there and they had like all this merch, and I had to go get one of their tote bags from their table to put all of my like cards and CDs and stuff in that I had collected so I could carry them back to my room. Like there's like it's just a fourth of my suitcase is now stuff that I've gotten from other people, like submitting stuff to me or talking to me about things. And it's just like really draining socially.
Yeah.
And I literally spent like an hour just with like business cards and showcase times around me, just organizing everything and trying to like figure out what shows I was going to see. Because aside from like talking to people all day, every day, there's 4 hours of official showcases, which spans like 15 or 20 rooms. And then there's like 5 hours of private showcases, which spans 85 rooms.
Oh,
And so
absolutely not.
so you have to kind of like plan your day to make sure you get to the right people at the right time, because they just clear out three floors of a hotel, and every room in that floor is a different performance room after 10 p.m. And so it's really exhausting, but it's really fun. I got to see a lot of art writers and hang with them. And we hosted a showcase one night from 10:30 to 3 a.m. And so our writers were there, and it was all very great, very successful, best conference of the year. No question. It's my favorite conference to go to. Um, but it's really exhausting. And I'm
Yeah.
very tired when I get back. And so I told Mary Kate, we've been on the phone for like 45 minutes. And I think this is like the first time I've talked to her. Like I just I've just been sitting here
Yeah,
staring most.
which is weird because I wasn't talking either. So it was a very
Yeah.
languid 45 minutes while we did our makeup and tried to
Stared at the
become
wall.
human beings again.
Yeah.
Because
But otherwise, I'm fine. How are you?
yeah. I'm okay. Today was my first day back after a week of
Mm.
gloriously doing absolutely nothing.
Ugh, the dream.
It was a dream until about Friday when I realized that I had spent an entire week doing nothing and I started trying to panic do everything that I should have done the
Mhm.
entire week. So like the last couple days have been incredibly stressful. And
Yeah.
going back to work today was incredibly stressful. But the kids were handling it pretty well, and we're all just doing our best. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Make sure I get paid. That's all.
Yeah.
You know. Um, but since I did nothing, the only thing that I really have to be excited about is when Stargate memes exist.
I do
Um,
love that.
or when people make memes and about other things and then unknowingly use Stargate in the memes, because I guarantee they do not know the source material for said memes. Um, so I was just casually scrolling on Instagram, as one does, looking at one of my funny astrology meme posts, and I found one that was talking about Venus love languages. And like they had things like an Aries Venus says, I just want to decompose, but in a sexy way.
Mm. Well,
Which,
was there a Scorpio one? Is that how that
yeah.
works? I don't really know much about the planets when it comes to astrology.
Well, what planet is your Venus in? All
A
right, first.
house, a number. Is it in a number?
And yes, but there's also a planet that rules that number. Where is CoStar? Where's your chart?
Let's go to the experts.
Yeah.
I don't know how to use CoStar anymore.
Oh, so
Me.
your Venus is in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius Venus love language. Why is everything a disorder or syndrome? Maybe I'm just cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna start using.
how reaching out first feels to me, but it's a bunny trying to lift a weight that's bigger than it. Me writing about something absurd.
Yeah.
And then the
That doesn't
last
sound like
one,
me at all.
the last one is a cat at a tea party, and it says you don't have to have an opinion, actually. You could literally just hang out. So that is incredibly accurate. Um,
What?
mine, because my Venus is in Pisces. It has a picture of a cup of coffee, and it just says, "You always know, and you always will, and so will I." One is a
That
rabbit
feels a little
drinking.
threatening.
Yeah, one is a rabbit drinking tea, and it says plotting, scheming, even. One is a picture of the rainbow fish, like from the book
Like from
Rainbow
the book.
Fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it says,
Nice.
"I may be in my question mark, question mark, question mark era, but I'll soon be glittering in the water."
Absolutely. Yeah. See, good things are coming.
And then the last one is a Renaissance painting where a girl looks like she's like tragically dying, and it says, "Sorry for seeing good in your eyes," or "Seeing God in your eyes, my bad."
I feel like all of them are accurate, but that last one, just like
Right. But the reason I bring these up is because one of them, which did not actually relate to either of us because neither of us have much Gemini in our charts,
Thank
was the
God.
Gemini Venus love language, um, which just has a lot of pictures of people looking really depressed. Apparently, love as a Gemini is not a good time. Um, but one of the pictures is a picture of our friend Daniel Jackson in the padded cell from the episode where he got locked in a loony bin. And it says, "I don't know how the rest of you manage because this is me after a short situationship."
But also, it is him after a short situationship. Like that is he a Gemini? When is his birthday?
That's a great question. When is Daniel Jackson's birthday?
And also, which account is this you're referencing? Because I follow like
Um,
six, and I don't think it's any of them that I follow.
it's astrology, but it's astrology. It's ASTRHO. Um,
I found it.
oh my God, stop.
It's his birthday in June.
No, but um, what is, I don't know. I don't know when things are. Um, if you could tell me what the dates are. Oh, no, he's a Cancer.
After the 21st.
His July 8th.
Mm,
So he's a
close.
Cancer. Yeah. But that doesn't mean
I'm
that
familiar with both of
that
those.
but that doesn't mean that his Venus is not in Gemini.
That's true. We don't know what time he was born.
I don't know if I can do an entire natal chart for a fictional character, but like
Oh my God. And
that
can we try?
that sounds like something I would like to do. His birthday's
I'll
July
write that
8th,
down.
1965. And okay. This is a project for not on the podcast because you guys do not want to
I'm just writing
watch.
it down.
Yeah,
No.
you guys do not want to watch the boringness that would be me trying to figure out this. Because I also then have to figure out like his birth location and things like
Oh
that.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so
Rachel's birthday is the 21st of June, and so she falls right on that cusp of like Gemini and
uh,
Cancer.
mm, yeah, all right. Daniel Jackson natal chart. That's my new project.
I love it. I love it.
Could you imagine? I'm just gonna make a natal chart for all of the characters and like tell you why they're fucked up.
We could have our own astrology series on the Instagram of the
Yeah.
characters. That's gonna be the other thing we tell you about them. We might have to do that.
We might have to do
Stay
this.
tuned. Stay tuned. Because that is the thing that has made me most excited
You know
in the past
what?
48 hours.
Maybe this will be my summer project because when I'm out of school and I actually have free time, this will be my summer project. So stay tuned. Coming in July, we will do in-depth natal chart readings, and I will get Monica, her spooky ass, to like give us feed and like inspiration and shit.
I'll start researching now because I have to move in a month and don't know where I'm going. So that's going to be my avoidant personality trait.
Well, you should also probably research what show we're gonna do next, but that's
I already worked on that. I got us a whole list, remember?
Yes, I know, but did you pick one?
No, we're doing a poll. We got like 4 days left. Four Mondays left.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm prepared, dude.
Perfect. The other meme that I saw was the meme. I don't know what show it's from. I don't know if it's from Brooklyn Nine-Nine or New Girl, but it's like the picture of Andy Samberg like leaning into the car yelling at Zooey Deschanel while she's driving. And I don't
New Girl.
Yeah. But he goes, "Yeah, of course I'm a Stargate fan." She says, "Okay, then give me 5 notable deaths." He says, "Daniel Jackson." She said, "That's on me. I set the bar too low."
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I sent it to Doug, and his response was to try to tell me that there were not actually 5.
No, for sure. Like we've already seen what, like 3?
We've seen 5.
We've seen 5?
We've seen 5. We have seen, because he died in the movie. He died in the Knox episode in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
He died in the season 1 finale. Then he died when he had the sarcophagus bitch who was obsessed with him. And he died in the Gould drug layer den when his heart flatlined and they had to get him back to the opium.
Right.
We're halfway through season 5 and he's already died 5 times.
Yeah, no question. But also, like, that's too easy of a question because, like, name 5 Stargate deaths. Just name some of the, like, biggest Egyptian gods. And, like, you're bound to, like, hit it out of the park.
42.
Yeah, right. You have Ra. You have, like, all these people. Isis is the one who died, right? Osiris is the one who lived. Okay. Like, just start naming mythological gods. Like, you don't even have to see the show. And you could name 5. So, yeah.
But yeah, so that was my joy this week was Daniel Jackson.
You should post those on our Instagram.
I should. Those are my Daniel Jackson memes are the only thing getting me through.
Look, some days.
I'm trying to think. I swear I sent Dan a Stargate meme last week too, but I don't know what it was. So
that's okay.
I also sent him a lot of like really inappropriate memes. Just for shits.
Just because.
Like what did it say? I said, "Don't know what's gotten into me lately, but I wish it were you."
Poor Dan.
Who wears the pants in our relationship? We prefer it when neither of us are wearing pants. And I just like was like spam texting him those things after giving him a box of X-rated candy hearts from Valentine's Day, and he was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I was like,
he's like, "You can't have weeks off from school anymore." This is what happens.
I was like, "No, the problem is I can't drink wine and then have access to my Amazon account." Because I special ordered X-rated candies.
Yeah.
So
like worst things you could order though.
That's true.
Like that kind of sounds like an amazing purchase.
Oh my God,
probably wasn't millions of dollars.
No, I think it was like $14 for 2 boxes, and that including shipping.
Yeah. So that's a great wine purchase.
Yeah. The $45 t-shirt that I bought that stay tuned for that one.
That one. That's a different story.
Oh no, this one is even better. But yeah. So since I am coping with memes and drunk purchases, can you give me maybe a better way to cope with my life?
Sure, I'm gonna do it with apathy. So if you couldn't guess,
Great.
um, the broken will always be able to love harder than most. Once you've been in the dark, you learn to appreciate everything that shines. Zachary K. Douglas.
That is beautiful.
It wasn't full apathy, but not as
Yeah.
peppy as normal.
No, but it's still like, you know,
It's encouraging. Like,
yeah,
it's too late once you're in the dark. Like, so the only
right.
hope is to find everything that shines. So,
Well,
you know,
speaking of things that shine, let's talk about Stargate. Um,
yeah.
I
I
was,
didn't
I
hate
was
this episode.
No, I was given some feedback that when the podcast first started with me and Monica, we talked much more about production aspects of shows, and now we're more
Mhm.
of a story recap podcast. And I don't know if that feedback was meant to be a critique,
Positive or negative?
right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, no one wants to hear my production feedback on a 90s sci-fi show because it's not good.
Yeah.
Um,
And also, like, the story is what I know.
right. And I was like, well,
Like,
that's why that was Monica's wheelhouse. And we do talk about the production. We
yeah,
just talk about shit we understand better. Um,
right.
so
And production comes in a lot more in the like wrap up stuff. But
yeah.
if you meant it as a critique or as a we want to see more of this and not as a we like better what you're doing, please clarify.
Yeah.
And we will try to incorporate more elements of things that you like on top of what we're doing.
That's
But just make
yes.
it clear if you like it
What
or don't like it
yeah,
when you
what
say
do you
it.
yeah, what do you want from us?
Yeah.
Um
Yes.
This episode was Stargate SG-1 Season 5, Episode 10. So we're almost halfway done with first season, or the fifth season, not the first season.
I literally wrote
Um,
season one today on my notes for Stargate. And I was like, that's not the season we're in. So we're both
no,
in
no,
a weird
no.
place. It's fine.
This episode was called 2001, um, which,
Which I understand now, but I was like, we just had an episode named this. It was 2010. And I
yeah.
was like, you can't name the same episode a season later. But I did my
Um,
research and I was like, okay, I'm
uh,
wrong.
yeah, no, you're not correct. And also, I'm glad that you knew that there was an episode that named that because it was directly related to this
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Um, it came out on, or it was rated 8.4 stars. So pretty good, pretty good. I don't remember what the highest for this season is. I want to say it's
8.4.
somewhere around that, yeah. Because the ratings, to be honest, I don't see a lot of things like in general that are rated like nines. Like that's not a normal.
Yeah.
Um, People are too cynical for that.
Mhm.
Um, oh no, there is one that's 8.5, so we're not there
Mm.
yet.
Oh, it's one we
Um,
haven't seen yet.
yes.
That's exciting.
Um, it came out on August 31st, 2001. So we're inching towards doom.
Towards just like our regular everyday lives.
Yeah.
It's a
The
good
same
time.
song, book, and movie were all number one. It was the summer. Things don't change a lot in the summer because everybody just kind of like does the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, two two things happened that day. One is very tragic, and one is very tragic, but in a different way.
Oh, great. Excellent.
Um,
Tragedy.
August 31st, 2001 was the day of Aaliyah's funeral.
was that long ago when she passed away?
She passed away on August 25th that year, and so then the funeral was the 31st, which
Should have felt
is
like that was like 7 years after that.
right. I was like, did it really happen in 2001? But I was looking at the pictures, I was looking
This
at the
is
newspapers.
no, this is one of those, what is it called? The one where they
Mandela
like,
effect.
yeah, this is the Mandela effect. Someone's lying to us. This is my Mandela effect. Forget everything else everyone's come up with.
Aaliyah was not dead in 2001. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Aaliyah died before the Twin Towers fell. That is bonkers.
I know, because I feel like nothing like super massive or like tragically relevant happened before then. And
Right. But I
I'm sure
mean,
like other wars and stuff, like things that like I specifically remember in my life that I was like, oh, that was tragic. Like I remember Aaliyah dying. And
yeah.
I feel like it happened after. I'm telling Mandela effect. I won't
I
believe it.
mean,
It's a
you said
conspiracy.
no, you said nothing tragic happened before 9/11, and I literally Googled to make sure Tupac died in the 90s. And I was like, no, I think
He
Tupac
did.
died. Tupac
But he
died
died
before
like
9/11.
92 or something, right? Like
96.
93.
96.
Okay. But
Yeah.
like long enough that it was like I was like a child, so it wasn't
Yeah,
my
I
like
don't.
relevant consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I know Tupac died before 9/11. They just came out with it like 17 documentaries like 2 months ago.
Right.
So
Which is surprising. I thought they would have waited 2 more years so that it was like on an anniversary year.
you'd think. You'd
Right.
think the world would work that way, but we're not in
Um,
charge of production schedules, so
which doesn't, I should be in charge of everything.
same.
The thing that is tragic in a not emotional way and just tragic in this is the world that existed in 2001. This day also was very exciting because of the new format that was launched for the White House's website. Like
This
George,
feels to me.
President and First Lady Bush had a press conference to unveil the new accessibility of the White House website.
Can I tell you that this sounds crazy, but I have been waiting for 6 years for the new launch of the copyright website. And I was on one of the like programming calls where they like run it by the like top publishers to see if they have any extra comments. And I've never been more excited about a launch. And I don't even think it's coming out till next year. So I'm with you. I'm with you, White House.
Yeah.
There's literally in my job, there's been nothing that has made me more excited than learning we were getting a more accessible copyright office website. So look,
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest with you. How accessible do you really think the 2001 whitehouse.gov was?
if you could click on a picture, that was it.
I don't think you could. I don't think they had hyperlinks and pictures yet.
Oh, what a world. Because you didn't have YouTube yet, right? That was a five.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
When
feel like that's when
did
hyperlinks kind of started getting bigger, was a few years before
hyperlink?
that. Because Jeeves sure wouldn't hyperlink in you. You want a production, guys? Here we are.
Yeah,
Talking
you
about
guys
the
want
production
you
of
want
the
to
White
know about
House
production.
website.
Oh my gosh. How hyperlinks work in HTML. That is literally insane. Oh no. No, you could start hyperlinking things in HTML in 1993.
So they were hyperlinking pictures, I bet.
Maybe.
Bet they put a video on there.
No, but wait, but that's in HTML, not in images.
I don't know anything about internet
Like,
letters.
like yeah, me either. I beats me. Google,
Uh,
Google. So yeah. So that's the day and time that we are talking about. This episode was directed by Peter DeLuise, written by Brad Wright, and edited by Brad Rhymes. No one knew there. Our guest star is Dion Luther, who played Mullen. He was known for Stargate, Tom Stone, and John Doe.
Which one was Mullen? Was he the really like white ass ashen guy? Like
Yeah.
blonde hair, really pale? Okay.
Yeah. His last credit was in 2007, and I literally couldn't find him anywhere on the internet. In fact, I found a convicted sex offender with the same name in Kansas more easily than I found this man, which
Did you
means
confirm they're not the same?
I did confirm that they're not the same. They are
Excellent.
not of the same ethnicity
Perfect.
at all. But yeah, you aren't really famous when sex offenders show up on Google higher than you.
Bless your heart, my friend. Bless your heart.
So I have nothing on that at all.
You can confirm he's not a sex offender, though.
I can, in fact, confirm, at least not on the Kansas State Registry. So,
But you know, like someone who's been on TV that's been a sex offender would come up before someone who is not.
oh, that's true.
TV.
That's true.
So, like, yeah, for
Okay,
sure he's
so
not.
great. That's all the information I have about him.
What a time.
This episode begins for like the third week in a row, I feel like, with a previously on.
We've had so much previous information and it has just rocked my socks. Like,
I know.
nothing I like better than a previously on for Stargate.
It's like, Courtney, you asked for us to tie up loose ends, we got you.
Exactly. They're coming through.
So, SG-1 returns to the planet after a mission where they were working with an agrarian society called the Volan.
Did we hear about the Volan
Or the
before?
Volian? No.
Okay, I didn't think
Did
so,
not.
but I was
Volian.
just unsure.
No, this is like they went on a mission and they came back to brief us. And you know how occasionally they're like, oh, remember those people that we met, but we never actually saw it?
Yeah.
These would have been one of those people that we met but never saw if it weren't for
Gotcha.
everything else that happened, because they were not really
Right.
useful.
I only started questioning it when the Ashen mentioned them as well. And I was like, wait, now everyone's talking about them.
Yeah, no,
So-
they were just the other people in this episode.
Got it.
But while they were there talking to these Volian people, they introduced them to another race with advanced technology who's both willing and able to defend the Earth from the Goa'uld. And Hammond is like, let me immediately call the president. This is the best news ever. You guys go set up your mission briefing. And then he's like, oh yeah, by the way, who are these new people that you met that are gonna help us? And Sam says they're called the Ashens, sir. And then we cut to credits. Now, I personally did not like that there was a previously on in this episode because I felt that they're called the Ashen, dun dun dun, mic drop of that gets ruined by the previously on.
See,
but I also know that it was half a season or more ago, and so people don't remember things.
It was an entire season ago. It was the middle of season 4. So
yeah.
It's an entire season ago. And I read the number and I thought it was probably connected. And so like I had already kind of like decided just by the title that it probably had something to do with the one before.
Yeah.
And so I was pleased with the previously on because I already had some indication, and I also don't know that I would have known, like when they were like it's the Ashen, especially not knowing who the Volian were, like if I would have been like, is that the people we knew, because we've met so many people.
Fair.
I don't know any of their names. I know the Knox.
Well, maybe be a better nerd and remember every name of every race that's ever been on the show.
All right, I will do better. I'm sorry.
there are people that would be their legitimate response to that.
I know. I know.
Um,
And I would not have the same response to them. But I'm not going to
um,
say on here what I would say to them.
So, after the credits, we get a briefing with some ambassadors and high-ranking military officials, and the team is revealing that the Eshen are technologically advanced, but they're unable to travel via Stargate because their planet doesn't have a DHD, so they can't account for like planetary drift and whatnot. And she's talking about all these like scientific feats that they've done and everything. And Jack just is saying the fucking most uncalled for bullshit because he does not trust them as far as he can throw them.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Jack,
and that was one of the things that I really liked about this episode, the way it started, was because it was such a callback. Because then once you like were reacquainted with how that episode went, and that one was so memorable. Some
yeah,
of them are, but that one was so memorable that I like, I remembered the whole thing was that Jack left and was gone for so long. And so it was like, oh, we finally could see like this lead up to it. And it's like he
yeah,
had these like this feeling from the very beginning. It wasn't like something
mhm,
happened. It was like he always knew they were bad and no one
yeah.
else believed him.
I actually have a note about that later that like literally says that everything that Jack is saying lines up with 2010 and how
Hmm.
he like was absolutely like fucking done with the
Yeah.
Ashen from day one. Um,
What a great what's the word I'm looking for?
Continuity.
Continuity, that is the word I'm looking for.
Yes. The ambassador is like super intrigued by Sam and has flirty eyes on, which obviously, if
Right.
you remember 2010, they were married. This is the first time they met. Meet cute, whatever.
Sure.
Um, so Jack, Sam, and the ambassador are going to go back to the planet, the Volian planet, and meet with Borin and the Ashen delegates, while Teal'c and Daniel are meant to be on like a reconnaissance mission to find out if the Ashen are actually all they're cracked up to be. Like, figure out on the DL, how do these people actually feel about them?
Hmm.
Um, so then we find out that despite the Ashen saying that they won't give the gate address of their planet, SG-1 is, or like SGC is clearly not going to just like accept that. So Sam and Harriman are like working on discovering the Ashen homeworld based on its proximity to Volian and all of these scientific hoo-ha nonsense things about how to fly spaceships and travel via Stargate. Um,
Hmm.
and Sam explains like her theory about how that works and everything. And the ambassador is like, I have no idea what you're saying, but I will listen to you talk for the rest of my life. Um,
He is like such a sap.
he is. He's like
He's
smitten,
smitten kitten.
like, but immediately. Like, he's like,
Yeah.
listen to this girl talk to me about sci-fi novels that I will never understand and planetary alignment. And like, she can align my planets if get my drift. Um,
If you catch my
I mean,
planetary drift.
to be fair, same.
I do love Sam.
Oh, I meant somebody talking to me about like space things that I don't understand.
Oh. Also that's fine too.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when Dan starts explaining things to me, I just smile because I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I will listen to you talk forever. So you just keep telling me what to do. Unless we're playing video games and then don't fucking tell me what to do because I will punch
Right.
you in the throat.
Yeah.
Um,
Fair. Totally fair.
um, then they're getting ready to go back to the Volian planet for this delegation meeting, and the ambassador arrives in like his normal dress clothes. And Jack is so fucking snarky because he's in a bad mood. He doesn't want to do this. He doesn't care about the delegation,
Hmm.
but also he just like is so rude to the ambassador for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
And he's like,
But
um,
because he's in love with Sam and they're making eyes at each other.
fair enough. He's like, your shoes are gonna get ruined. Daniel, sweet baby Daniel. Aw. Once again, your light
I'm in the
is
dark.
gone. Sweet baby Daniel's like, it's fine, you look great. He's like a kindergarten teacher who's like, it's okay that you cut your own bangs. You're still beautiful.
Right. But then we have Tilk who's just like, yeah, what Jack said.
But so they arrived at the planet. This is my literal note. It says they arrive on the planet and the ambassador is gagged. He's like, oh my God, it looks like we're in Kansas. But I mean, to be fair, like you've never traveled through the Stargate, and a minute ago you were in like a bunker, and now you're in the middle of the fucking sunshine in a
Right.
field.
Yeah.
Although I saw a post on Reddit like right before I watched this episode, and it ruined the episode for me. And not really, just for a moment. Because someone posted on Reddit and said, why does the sound when they're traveling through the Stargate sound like a squealing pig? And now that's all I'll ever hear.
That's tragic.
So unfortunately, next week when you watch the episode, just
when I watch it,
it's gonna sound like a squealing pig.
Maybe it'll be far enough removed that because I don't have it previously on, I won't hear it. Because I don't remember.
Maybe.
So.
But then a harvester, which is like a giant spaceship, gathers a bunch of crops and it like shows a peek into what the Ashen are capable of because they're like able to like take the Stargate and like move it up and then like tilt it so that it's like a basket and they just like dump crops in it.
That's wild.
And Jack's like, we'll get one of those. Jack doesn't like give a single shit about these people. He doesn't trust them, but he's like, but if we're gonna make this deal, I'm gonna get fucking everything I want out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then Bourne arrives and he's upset that Jack and Sam still have their weapons. He's like, I thought I told you those weren't necessary. And Jack's like, forgot, my bad.
No, he tells him. He says, I thought you were joking. But what did I wrote it down? I thought you were joking around. Like you always do. Like he's so flat and like never.
Jack has made it very, very clear through this entire episode so far that he does not trust their lack of a sense of humor. And so that funny people who can't laugh are not trustworthy. So yeah, it is pretty lovely.
Gosh, I was cracking up at this part.
But then Bourne takes them and their weapons to the Harvester to meet the Ashen representative. I wrote Mullen and then crossed it out and realized that we didn't need him yet, so that I couldn't jump to conclusions.
True.
Back on Earth, we get a quick flashback to Earth where Walter is showing Hammond that one of the possible planets for the Ashen is the coordinates that they locked out of the computer 7 months ago.
Yeah,
and that there is
something.
Yeah, and that there is a 25% chance that this planet is one that they are expressly forbidden from going to. So that's good. Great. So then Teal'c and Daniel are on their recon mission and they're going to talk to the Volian about the Ashen, and they meet this guy named Keel, and he's like, they're like, tell us everything you know. And he's like, I don't really remember like anything before the Ashen were here. Like I grew up in an Ashen family. Like, and he basically describes their relationship as like benevolent 1984ism. Yeah. He's like, they're just kind of there. There's not a lot of them. They float up in their spaceships above us and just watch us and help us when we need help and give us food and energy. And I was like, okay, sounds great.
I feel like I'd have so many questions, but also like if I was born into, maybe it's just like, no, this is normal.
Right. Like if you're born into a place where questioning isn't a thing, do you question? But then also like I feel like that's the essence of human nature.
Right. Like I feel like it's just questions.
Yeah.
Even if there weren't answers.
I mean, and that's why revolutions happen. It's because the whole essence of human nature is to question things. So, and then, yeah, so then we flash over to the diplomat team, and they're beamed above board a harvester to begin their negotiation, which is literally all we see is them being beamed up and how cool the beaming is. And then we go back to Daniel and Teal'c because they're going out to Keel's South Farm with him because he asked them if they could let the Eshen know that he has iron root, and that he can't get it out himself. And Daniel and Teal'c are like, yeah, we'll help you with that because what the fuck is iron root?
Yeah.
So they go and look at the iron root, and it turns out it's just like steel scaffolding beams.
Yeah.
And Daniel is afraid he just found the something bad that he did not want to find, which Teal'c is very confused by. Teal'c might be the dumbest character in this episode, and it isn't really because he's stupid. It's just because it's a very unfamiliar anything to him. Like nothing that we're doing in this episode is in his wheelhouse. And sometimes when we have those moments, those characters are like periphery. Like occasionally we have really science heavy episodes and Jack is like off doing something to fight somebody, so he isn't part of the like science conversations. Or we have like really military episodes and Daniel's on a break with another team at that point. They don't tend to focus a lot on the characters when they're dumb. But man, they made Teal'c dumb in this episode.
Teal'c had no idea. He was so out of his element.
And even in the moments where Teal'c was the one who was actually like being genuinely helpful, like telling Daniel that the building was going to cave in on him, he still somehow came off as dumb. Like, and I didn't understand.
Yeah.
But back Team Diplomat, we're at the negotiation table. And Molem's like, I agree in principle to provide all of the technology that we have to your people in exchange for full disclosure of the Stargate network and access to everyone that and like introductions to everyone that you've met because of it. And Ambassador Faxon is like, in principle, we also agree. Sounds great. Then we flash over to Daniel and Teal'c, who are climbing down the beam like it's a ladder and find an entire abandoned city. Great.
Yeah, that like anytime I see abandoned, I understand that it is not related to this episode, but every time I see an abandoned city, I assume it's something that like the Goa'uld is doing and stealing from people.
My problem is every time I see Daniel climb into an abandoned city, especially an underground one, I immediately assume I'm watching Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Yeah. I also assume in these situations that he's about to die.
Yeah, that's valid. Dan's siblings watched Atlantis for the first time very recently. More recently than Dan and I got together, and they didn't like it. And I don't know if I can marry into that family.
That's fair. I haven't watched it since probably within the first 5 years it came out. So I need to do a rewatch, but
it's like the most underrated movie of all time. So, back on board the Harvester, Molem is asking about Earth's population and like decides that the growth rate is unsustainable. Just wait 23 years. Yeah, but like just wait 23 years because if you thought Earth was unsustainable in 2001, bitch, welcome to 2024.
I got some news for you.
Every time I'm watching a show that's old enough that they say that the Earth has 6 billion people on it, I just
die a little on the inside.
Yeah.
That was a fair reaction.
Especially because like I actively remember keeping the tracker up in my classroom. Like the day like we had it posted on the board every day. The week that it hit 7 billion, we like had it posted up on the board, like as a tracker for the numbers, like counting down, and we were like so excited. And then it happened overnight. So we didn't even get to celebrate it.
That's such a bummer.
It was. Um, but then he's like, I appreciate that the US is like, so basically he asks what they're doing about the population. Faxon basically is like, well, like we care obviously, but like we respect that we can't tell every planet or country on the planet like how to live their lives, like not. And he's like, I like respect that you guys are like militarily not curtailing things and like I appreciate that even though you're obviously like the best power on the planet, you like don't condemn or like determine other people's lives. He's like, but if we are going to continue this negotiation, I will need to speak to all of the people on the planet. I can't like make decisions based on one small population.
Yeah. Very ambassadorial of him.
Yeah, and Faxon's like valid. I understand. I can make that work. We go back to Daniel and Teal'c, and they determined that the secret city under the ground has no signs of battle or human remains. And it appears to be like unnaturally hidden and within the last 200 years.
Little shady.
Yeah. And then we go quick flash to Earth where Hammond is talking to the leaders of SGs 3, 12, and 15 in order to send them out on recon missions to the 3 planets that aren't locked out of the gate to make sure and check if any of them are the Ashen homeworld before they say that the Ashen homeworld is the planet they're not supposed to go to. Then we go back to Mullen's scene and Jack asks them what kind of weapon they're talking about, like giving us to be able to like defeat all the Goa'uld. And they are apparently talking about a bio weapon that it has the ability to lock onto specific DNA and kill everything with that DNA. Just casual.
And like that's a really massive weapon to give someone like who you don't know.
Yeah. Especially
like, who's to say they aren't going to use it against you or you know.
Especially because then he goes, well, if you've met all these other technologically advanced races, why is no one helping you? And Sam goes, well, because everyone else is afraid we're going to destroy ourselves. And he goes, that's dumb. Here's a weapon that you could literally use to fucking destroy yourselves.
Yeah. And also, like, Sam, don't, like, give it all away at once. Maybe you could be like, oh, we're just in negotiations. Or, like, don't be like, oh, they think we're going to destroy ourselves, so we don't deserve all this technology. That's what they think. Because then they'll be like, oh, because a normal, like, race, if I was the Ashen, I would have been like, oh, maybe we're not going to give you this either then. Like, maybe we'll just give you a few more Zat guns or something. Like, but
instead he goes, you know what? Not only are we going to give you this weapon, we want to formally invite you to join the Ashen Confederation.
That's just all very shady. And the only person who's concerned is Jack. And I don't get it.
Back on Earth, Hammond is about to send all these people out for their recon mission when he gets a phone call from the Pentagon and tells SG-15 to stand down. And he doesn't know why his orders are being scrubbed, but basically somebody in Washington is like, don't. Daniel has found newspapers in the abandoned city, and he's trying to translate the articles to see if the Ashen have something to hide. And he's just like casually chilling in a crumbling cave to do so.
I mean, was it last episode where we like had him by the or the one before where he was just like hanging out by the tomb reading books to learn about it, like just like classic Daniel.
Yeah, no. But usually Teal'c is not stuck with him, and so Teal'c is not taking it very well. Then we go back to the negotiations, and Jack is very confused. He's like, I'm not really sure why you guys are offering us so much for like so little. And this is where he was like, oh, I mean, honestly, it's really not that little. We would like you to introduce us to all of your powerful friends. Um,
I
so
think
then
you have to
Fax,
ask Thor before you introduce people.
yeah,
Like,
for sure.
just a thought.
Yeah, but so then Faxon and Mullen both agree that their negotiations are solid and they need to take things back to their respective leaders. And Jack has a really bad feeling about this that no one else seems to listen to, which is exactly what happened in 2010. So, not a good sign.
Not a good start.
And then Daniel has managed to translate some of this a newspaper article, and it basically found out that the Ashen provided a vaccine to a sickness. And Teal'c is like, oh, like that means that they're clearly good. They're helping with this vaccine. And he's like, I somehow just don't think that that's what happened, but I have to translate some more.
Yeah.
Jam, Sack. That's what I was about to say. Jam, Sack, and Vaxen.
Yes. All of our favorites.
So Jack, Sam, and Faxon arrive, and then Faxon goes to be medically cleared so that he can go on his way to Washington for these negotiations. And Hammond pulls the other two for a meeting where he tells them that turns out the president is the one who decided his mission had to stop because he was afraid of risking the alliance. Because if the Ashen are actually like helpful and good people, and then they catch us spying on them to secretly find out their homeworld that they won't tell us, not going to fare well in the negotiation process. And they basically say, SGC needs to stand down. This is officially now a state matter. The military is no longer involved.
But here's the thing, like, sure, they won't tell you where their planet is, but also, like, if they're the same people in the alliance or whatever, they're not just going to give you these, like, bio warfare. Like, if they, like, what am I trying to say? Like, if they find you snooping just to, like, find out a few extra facts, I think they're not going to be mad. Like, that feels very low stakes comparatively.
Yeah. But speaking of snooping, Daniel did figure out that the vaccine caused something and that people rioted, but they don't know what because there's this word that he can't translate. And so then Jack and Sam come looking for Daniel and Teal because they never made it back to the planet. And they come out of the bunker and let Jack and Sam know everything that they found. And then they take their findings back to the team on Earth, brief them about everything about the city and how new it is and what all the newspapers say and whatnot. And Hammond tries to call the president, but he's being briefed by Faxon and does not want to talk to Hammond. So Jack's like, remember how I earned myself a free trip to the White House last time we saved the world? I'm going to cash in on that now. So Jack puts on his snazzy military fancy dress and goes to Washington. But the limo turns the wrong way in Washington. It goes away from the White House. And Jack's very confused until our least favorite person on planet Earth gets in the limo and basically accosts Jack and says
Yeah.
that he will not be seeing the president and he thinks that Jack is trying to ruin this alliance specifically to stop Kinsey's chances of being president. And Jack's like, that is the most fucking self-centered bullshit thing I've ever heard. And Kenzie is like, self-centered. You're just afraid to know what the world would look like if you weren't the hero.
The number of times that Jack has tried to retire, like, he doesn't want to be the hero. He doesn't even want to be there half the time.
No.
I literally, when I just wrote down, ooh, Kinsey. Ugh.
Yeah.
Whenever he came on the screen.
He literally would like to just be sitting on a lake with a beer and a fishing pole and never speaking to another living human being again, but he's saving your ass.
Right.
So,
He doesn't have a choice but to be the hero,
yeah.
whether he wants to be or not.
And we also find out that Kinsey has officially been put in charge of the next step of negotiating. The president has approved it all, and Kinsey's in charge. And Kinsey has
The
agreed to
worst.
bring the Ashland delegation to Earth to move the negotiations forward. Um, and Hammond is not thrilled, and he would like to stop things, but he like actually can't. Um, but Kinsey has approved Sam continuing to escort Ambassador Faxon back to the planet. So he's like, Sam, I can't order you to do anything. I can't even tell you what to do. But if things were to get messed up, that wouldn't be the worst thing. Um, so Daniel basically gives Sam a piece of paper with the untranslated word on it because that they just need somebody to translate that word for them. And then we get my least favorite scene in Stargate ever, where Kinsey's just a prick and is pressuring Hammond to retire for fucking no reason.
Yeah.
And while Kinsey's being a prick, Carter fills Faxon in on everything that they're doing and what the actual plan is going over to the planet. Um, but so they have a briefcase that is filled with that has a computer that has some coordinates on it, and they take the coordinates to Molum, and then they ask Boren to translate the missing word, which is sterility, which we might not have known the exact word, but we knew what it was going to say because 2010.
We knew what happened in 2010. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Sam's like, we knew what you were planning. We are not going to agree with you anymore. We just needed proof. And Mullen's like, well, sucks to suck. Lock him up here. We already got what we needed. And takes the coordinates and bounces.
Yeah.
And so Sam and Faxon are locked in the harvester, and Mullen starts to dial the gate. And it turns out they're dialing Earth. And Sam climbs down a rope to the bottom of the harvester to try to figure out what is happening. And they are about to drop the bioweapon into the Stargate toward Earth and kill the entire planet. So Sam is like, I'm gonna go down here, and then she tells Faxon that he has to follow her. But he gets surprised by Boren and has to attack Boren and like fight for his life, and then he tells Sam to just leave. So Sam has to decide between a cute boy who really likes her and the entire fate of the planet. So she
did make the right decision.
Correct. She rightfully chose to go back to the planet and close the iris and saved Earth. And Kinsey's pissed.
Kinsey sucks.
But then we find out that the briefcase, the computer, all of the gate addresses that they gave were actually to like black holes and like bullshit planets that were not going to go very well for the Shen.
Yeah.
So I have quite a bit of trivia and production to talk about today. But before I do that, do you have any thoughts, theories, or predictions?
I guess that's the last time we're gonna see what's his face. Sam's future husband.
Yeah.
Because he's, locked in with the Ashen now that are trying to kill everyone. I am glad that we wrapped up that scenario, because with so many things left open, when we watched 2010, I was like, are we gonna like see how this goes? Like, is this gonna come back with us like having to take this note and like actually follow it? Or is this just like, we sent the note, so everyone listened and it's fine now? Like, like everyone followed directions and we're fine. So it was nice to come back around to that and respond. I don't know if this is the end of the Ashen. Like, I don't know if that's spoiler if you tell me one way or another, just because we know them. I don't think they're gonna be a big deal. Like, I think we know they're bad now. Or like, so I don't think they're gonna really be an issue like the replicators and the gold. Yeah, I think that's my thoughts. I'm sure Kinsey will still become president somehow, and the whole world will be mad about it. But here we are.
All right. Well, so some meaningless trivia before we get into the big stuff. The titles of both 2001 and 2010 are actually from Arthur C. Clarke books.
Mhm.
Arthur C. Clarke is a famous sci-fi writer, and he actually coined the term Stargate in one of his books. And so they do a lot of
Mm.
nods to him. And Sam actually mentions him when she's trying to explain to the ambassador how the black holes and sun planets and everything work. She starts talking about an Arthur C. Clarke book. So that's fun.
Nice. Have you read any of them?
No, I haven't had time to read books in a long time. Um,
Sure.
um, at one point, when when Jack tells Ambassador Faxon that it's spelled O'Neill with two L's, he holds up two fingers. But when he tells Kinsey, he holds up three fingers.
I did not even notice that.
He's like, that's O'Neill with two L's, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. O'Neill also, or Kinsey also, when he gets in the limo, he's like, oh, hello, Colonel Starsky, or is it Hutch? And he is referring to, obviously, the episode Chain Reaction, where he and Mayborn became buds.
Besties. Yeah.
There's one scene where Harriman is apparently drinking a bottle of Pepto-Bismol, but I didn't catch it. Like I was watching for it every time I saw him on screen, but I didn't catch it. I think there's a scene where he's got a coffee mug, but like he's like drinking something and then switches to his coffee mug, and you like the shot is weird, but
That's so
apparently it's a
funny.
bottle of Pepto-Bismol. And the comment just said it must have been a rough day on shoot.
Yeah. Bless his heart.
The newspaper that Daniel is reading is a -1 or a subtract 1 cipher. So everything you could actually, if you paused it, actually read everything that it says on there. And interesting,
What does that
complete.
mean?
So subtract 1 cipher, that is actually something where every letter is represented by the letter 1 before it in the
Oh,
alphabet.
gotcha.
So like in 2001 A Space Odyssey, the computer HAL was actually named that because of IBM. Because HAL is IB. Yeah. So
Makes sense.
yeah. And then when the Ashen share the idea of their bioweapon, they say it can be targeted towards specific DNA of the enemy. And this would mean the Goa'uld symbiote. In the episode 2010, Teal'c mentions that not many Jaffa are loyal to Earth after the war. And one can speculate that in that timeline, they did use the weapon, which would kill all of the symbiote and thus kill all of the Jaffa that currently had symbiotes in them, which would obviously cause some animosity. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, I mean, that would be the logical jump. Like that was the whole
yeah,
point, was to get this weapon that would do it. So
and then so because it doesn't spoil anything that is going to come, I am going to tell you that we will not see the Ashen again. But that was actually not the original intention. So Brad Wright did write the Ashen story as a 3-part story. And so it was 2010, 2001, and then there was going to be a third part where they basically came back to Earth and attacked because to get revenge for being fucked over in this episode.
For being caught, for trying to sterilize everyone. Yeah.
Right. And there was a couple interviews that Joseph Malozzi gave, and I was reading his blog as well because he has a blog. Fun fact. So at the time of season 5, we obviously know that there are executive producers, whatever, but the supervising producers of the show, which is basically like the showrunner of the show for season 5 were Joseph Malozzi and Paul Mully. They were the acting showrunners in season 5. And so they were doing a shit ton. And obviously, so like reading his blogs and like reading his interviews about everything, like he really liked the Brad Wright, the 3rd-part episode. But the interview that I was reading was in 2005. they said that there was still a chance for it to happen. The show ended in 2007, so obviously it did not happen. But the more recent blog article I was reading of Malotzi's said that now looking back, he can't remember what it was that pushed it off the schedule, like why they didn't end up making it. But it wasn't because they didn't want to, or like it just didn't end up fitting into their production schedule in the next like
Yeah.
season or two. And then
Yeah, I feel like this was like wrapped up enough though. Like, I mean,
yeah.
you know, you could have more on the Ashton if you wanted, but like you don't have to.
But Brad Wright did also say in a couple interviews that in his mind, in his canon of the world, Ambassador Faxon is not dead. He's just living somewhere else because he was like, the Ashen are like very single-minded and like scientific, but they don't seem to be like inherently violent for the sake of violence. And as long as Faxon didn't pose them an actual threat, and him and his information were more valuable to him and them in the long run of getting back to Earth, there'd be no reason for them to kill him. So the Brad Wright headcanon is that Ambassador Faxon is not dead.
I believe that though. Like I didn't think he like died at the end. I just thought that he was not going to be able to make it back to Earth. Like,
correct.
You know, so it's like, oh, that's a spoiler. I'm not going to tell you. It's a big Marvel spoiler I was about to make, and I was like, it's 2 reasons. So I'm not going to make it on here.
I'll tell you Marvel spoiler
for what I was about to say.
For like a Marvel movie that already came out?
Yeah, but it's like recent.
Oh. It's like,
I'll tell you off the camera.
Okay. I was like, what are you talking? Yeah, so that's just some fun stuff. See, we talked about production.
We always talk about production.
We do always talk about production. Actually, that blog that I was reading was really fascinating because like Malotzi was like went through and talked about every episode and what he remembers from each episode that he was working on. But like he was talking about like hotel room hopping and like living in Vancouver to do the show and like living in these hotel rooms in Vancouver, and how the one hotel room they stayed in was like so nice and he really loved this hotel until the housekeeping or like no, somebody in production came in to drop mail off to his production room and like just came right into the hotel room while his wife was in the shower, and he was like, and so then we left and we did not live there anymore.
That is literally my dream. And that
someone walking in while your wife is in the shower.
No. The hotel hopping while working on creative projects. Like you can imagine all of my crazy thoughts that I'm having right now that I'm going to be homeless in a month. And so I'm just thinking of all these like different ways things could go. And I read an article today about a woman who lives in California, and she's just renting an Airbnb every day, and it comes out to what I'm paying now in rent for her to
not watch the TikTok I sent you 2 weeks ago about how an all-inclusive resort in Mexico was cheaper than living in New York City.
Oh, I did watch that. Yeah, it's insane. But yeah, and she was in California. It's not like she was in West Monroe. Like she was in a big city too, and it came out cheaper. And so I was like, just have crazy thoughts about where I'm gonna live. Because I don't know. I don't know where it's gonna be.
Yeah, I was looking. I was looking at Airbnbs for when Dan and I are in Europe next year, and I was like, oh my God, look at how cute this apartment is. You can see the Eiffel Tower from the window. And he was like, how much is it? I was like $500. He goes, for the whole time? I said, yeah. And he goes, the fuck? And I was like, I don't think you understand. When we're going to Europe, we're Airbnb-ing everything. We're not staying in hotels.
That sounds so fun.
I know. Yeah. Except for the one night we are staying in a hotel because it's a hotel that's inside a zoo. And you can see the animals from... Oh my God. Stay tuned if you want to know more about the zoo. I will save it for Thriller Thursday because this episode is getting long. So yeah, if you want to know about my zoo in Europe, you have to listen to the Thriller Thursday episode.
I'm so excited. It sucks to suck. That's our goal today.
But before we end this episode, who do you want to punch?
Oh God. Um,
I know who your answer is. I don't know why you're thinking about it so hard.
because I don't know his name. I don't know the names of the Ashen people.
Oh, that's not who I thought it was going to be. But,
Oh,
oh, Mullen?
oh, freaking Kinsey. No, I
Yes.
want to punch. I think I want to punch yeah, I guess Mullen. Wasn't there another Ashen guy that started things off? I didn't like him either.
Boren.
Boring. That's the one I wanted to punch.
Okay, Boren.
Mainly
That's
halfway because I didn't like him, and halfway because Jack kept talking about how boring he was. And that made me laugh. And he
yeah,
should be punched for being boring.
fair enough. I
Yep.
want to punch Kinsey because every
Mhm.
time he was
Yeah.
on screen, I got violently angry.
So, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's how it goes.
yeah. Who is your MVP?
Jack. He's the only one that knows they're bad people. And
Yeah,
he was so like understatedly funny, like this episode.
I assumed you were going to pick Jack, so I didn't, obviously. But I picked Daniel because he
Hmm.
is the only one who actually got proof and
Answers.
answers and decided to like do his job. And also the point where he was like, when Teal'c was like, Hammond told us to ask questions, and he goes, Hammond told us to dig a little deeper. And then my brain started singing Dig a Little Deeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much.
Um,
Yeah.
but also now I'm like picturing Daniel Jackson writing a Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Yes, I want that also. And he
Yeah.
could do a little dig down in New Orleans, architectural. I'm sure there's something down there.
I'm sure, but can you imagine? No, I listen. This is my picture of in my head, Daniel and Teal'c riding Tiana's Bayou Adventures, aka Splash Mountain, together. And Teal'c is wearing Mickey ears to cover his thing and has a churro in one hand and a Mickey pretzel in the other and is so excited. And Daniel looks like he'd rather fucking die than be there anymore. Um,
I love it.
any of my friends who are artistic, please fucking draw that for me. I need that image.
Yes, it is unfortunately not me. But yeah, we know lots of artsy people. Somebody
Yeah.
draw us a
So,
pic.
yeah. Um, yeah. Because I also feel like that kind of explains you and I as people.
It
I am
does.
Teal'c and you are.
Although I do surprisingly love Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
Like, I hate most roller coasters. I get vertigo really bad, and so like I can't ride the one you guys all like. What is it? The Yeti one?
Oh,
Um,
Expedition
I
Everest.
can't. Yeah, I can't ride that one.
So
So,
good.
but I do really love Splash Mountain slash Tiana's ride. I don't know what it's called. I haven't been back yet, so it's Splash Mountain
Well,
until I
that's because
get
it
there.
hasn't opened yet. It opens
Oh,
sometimes.
great!
It
I'm not
opens
behind the
sometimes.
times.
No, you're not behind the times. It's called Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but it hasn't opened yet.
Mhm.
Um,
Excellent.
well, with that,
Do you
for
want to give me
more.
a spoiler?
Oh,
I
yeah,
forgot
somebody gets
last week.
kidnapped. They
Bet it's
won't tell you
Daniel.
who. Daniel. Um, yeah. Well, if you would like more memes, birth charts, Disney pictures of characters, production notes, any of the nonsense that has occurred in this episode, please feel free to email us at deafandaliens@gmail.com or follow us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can follow me personally everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And you can find me at CE Cloud 13.
And we will see you on Thriller Thursday for some juicy tidbits about my honeymoon and American Horror Story too.
Yay.
Yay! Bye.